Again, humanitarian aid efforts are continuing in Libya after a wall of water washed and killed more than 10,000 people. Thousands are still missing, with fears that the death toll could still rise even further. Aid agencies have described the disaster as the worst that they've seen, warning that recovery efforts could take years. Well, for the latest and on about these efforts and the situation on the ground, let's bring in Miriam Atallah. She's IFRC Communications Delegate and Red Cross spokesperson. She's in Ankara this afternoon, that's in Turkiye. Good afternoon, Miriam. Welcome to Today here on eNCA in Johannesburg, South Africa. What are you picking up? Just give us the sense of the latest. What's happening on the ground? And if you have any updates about any of the numbers I have just rattled off in my introduction in terms of the casualties of these devastating floods.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. We cannot at this point confirm any updated figures. What you mentioned is pretty much what we also know. But what we can say right now, our biggest challenge on the ground today, of course, we work with and through our movement partners on the ground, the Libyan Red Crescent Society that has been there present since day one, responding to all sorts of humanitarian needs. But what we can say today, our biggest challenge is pretty much related to logistics. And by that we mean due to the poor infrastructure that was in the country, and that is because of the armed conflict that had faced over the past couple of years. So the storm came and it completely washed away a quarter of an area, of a whole area. And so the problem is that humanitarian is coming in and international convoys are coming in. However, it's very slow. And this is because from the airport to the affected area, there's only one road. It's a single lane. So you can imagine the long delays and the bottlenecks there and the traffic jam. So we are receiving the aid. It's just, it's taking too much time, and there's a lot of delays for the aid to reach the survivors.
Yeah, now, I mean, this flood really seems to have devastated the coastal city of Derna. From your relief efforts, what are the basic needs? I mean, what is it as a Red Cross that you are hearing people are needing the most on the ground at the moment?
Well, as you mentioned, we are still in the emergency phase, and recovery is going to take years, and we're not even entering into the recovery phase yet. The emergency phase alone is taking too much time. And in the emergency phase, what we are hearing now, what we are seeing, well, we actually need very basic emergency relief items like food, water, shelter, water and sanitation. The Libyan Red Crescent Society has been involved in search and rescue operations that are still ongoing. They are still in need of body bags. They are currently, as I mentioned, involved in the distribution of many humanitarian aid, assistant, emergency relief items, and they are also offering psychosocial support that is currently pretty much needed as well. And they are helping families reunite with members of their families. As you mentioned, yes, because of the thousands of people displaced currently. So the needs, the emergency needs that we see in every disaster in the emergency phase, they are all still pretty much needed at the moment.
Yeah, the scale of this disaster, I mean, just from the visuals that we've seen, it's unbelievable. It must be a massive effort to coordinate this emergency relief. You are Red Cross, you have to work with other agencies. I mean, are you guys really managing to do so well together? And also, just a question that popped up in my head, it's a coastal city. Can some of the relief, emergency relief, be delivered via the port there?
Actually, yes, indeed, the effort that is needed today is a lot because the scope or the scale of this disaster was unexpected. It's truly unprecedented. Despite the warnings that a flood was coming, no one was prepared for such a massive disaster. It's truly indeed beyond the capacity of the Libyan Red Crescent and as beyond the capacity of the country as a whole. We are thankfully, and thanks to the Libyan Red Crescent, really, we have good relations with authorities there, with all the parties there. We are trying to access all the affected areas, and we are managing to do so, but the logistics remains the biggest challenge for us. It's very slow, again, because of the routes. Now, regarding the port, I highly doubt that could be right now a good idea because of the, I mean, it's not clean anyway.
Okay.
So we cannot risk that at all.
Yeah. A final question, and if you may be brief, is the Red Cross that you represent receiving the support? You've called out, I'm sure, for support, like the United Nations saying they need so much of medicines and emergency supplies. You, as a Red Cross, are you getting responses? Are you getting the support that you need to assist the Libyan Red Crescent and other relief efforts on the ground?
Yes, so when the disaster happened, we directly got like a 1 million Swiss franc to directly support the Libyan Red Crescent Society in their operations. And then we launched an emergency appeal calling for 10 million Swiss francs to continue supporting the Libyan Red Crescent on the ground. So far, we saw a lot of national societies, meaning that a lot of Red Cross and Red Crescent societies directly responded and came to Libya for support, like the Iranian Red Crescent, the Qatari Red Crescent, the Turkish Red Crescent, the Italian Red Cross. We are seeing day by day more international aid coming in and more response to our emergency appeal, but it's still very much slow, and we still have a very long way to go.
Yeah, the scale of this disaster can really confirm that you still have a long way to go. Thank you for taking time to talk to us from Ankara in Turkey. That's Miriam Atallah. She's IFRC's communications delegate and a spokesperson for the Red Cross. She was talking to us live, giving us an update live from Ankara in Turkey.